Hello, everybody. It's Johnson, Coronation. Let's do a week 2 college football review. There was a lot of fun things that happened this past weekend, and let's go over those. Let's just really quick. Nebraska beat Buffalo 28-3. We're gonna go through that game later on the 5 Hard podcast later this week. So, good defense by Nebraska. The offense could use some work. We overwhelmed them. It was nice to see, but a lot more work to go. Nebraska has Oklahoma coming up this weekend. It's going to be a good measurement of where a football team is. USC Stanford. USC got beat up by Stanford 42-28, and as a result of that loss, Clay Helton was fired today, or not fired. They're moving in a different direction. They're changing directions. You know all those terms they use for when you're fired, but you're not really fired. Yeah, kind of surprising, I guess, but not really. I think if I remember correctly, Clay Helton's first game as an interim coach was getting beat up by Stanford. So you looked over the last 3 years, and nothing changed. So sorry, Clay, and good luck, USC. I'd like to see USC, UCLA, one of them get good, and I don't know why that is. Just because maybe history, nostalgia. I don't know. Iowa versus Iowa State. This surprised me honestly quite a bit. Iowa gets the win. Brock Purdy from Iowa State had 3 interceptions. Iowa had 173 total yards of offense, 67 yards rushing, 106 passing. Iowa is now the number 5th ranked team in the nation, depending upon which poll you look at, I suppose. But either way, the fact that Iowa is solidly in the top 10, because they beat 2 ranked teams now, Indiana last week and now Iowa State. Both teams threw massive amounts of interceptions and doomed themselves. And this leads to a couple questions about Iowa. Number one, well, not a question really for Iowa, but a statement. The Hawkeye offense is really not very good. And by saying that, I mean they're abysmal. 67 yards rushing against Iowa State, for God's sakes. But the question isn't, is their offense really terrible? But is their defense just gotten quarterbacks that wanted to throw them the ball? Or are they doing some magic stuff? Is their defense really that good? Or are teams giving them ball games? And I think we're going to see that as the season progresses. Otherwise, Iowa is a clear-cut favorite to win the Big Ten West, because the Big Ten West is kind of a mess. Keep in mind that Iowa's defense now is they've given up a total of 23 points over the last 2 games, and they beat 2 ranked teams in succession for the first time since 1960. That's even before Hayden Fry. So maybe Iowa's going to have one of those magical 12-0 seasons where they don't get into their 12-1, 11-1, where they don't get into the college football playoff, but they get destroyed in the Rose Bowl by Stanford. I don't know what happens. Well, it's exciting in college football. It's so goofy. Maybe they'll win the Big Ten, because this last weekend, what did we see happen? This is another shocker to me. Oregon and Ohio State. I thought Ohio State would destroy them, wipe the floor with them, but the Ducks played really good defense. And on offense, they just figured out that for some reason the left side of Ohio State's defense didn't work. Wasn't there. It didn't function. I don't know if you watched this game, but they continually just ran around the left side of the Ohio State defense, and the Ohio State defense would get sucked inside by misdirection sometimes. Misdirection? What's that? But it was pretty abysmal performance for Ohio State, really, overall. You're seeing a team that's really missing a experienced quarterback, and that is interesting in itself. Clemson is definitely missing Trevor Lawrence. Ohio State with an inexperienced quarterback. Alabama, of course, Mac Jones is gone, but they just reload robots, so nobody cares. And let's move on. The next shocking game of the weekend. Florida State loses to Jacksonville State. Just 1 week after you watched them play Notre Dame to overtime and just barely lose, and you looked at it and went, oh, Mackenzie Milton is a savior for Florida State football. Then they lose to Jacksonville State on the last play of the game, where you kind of looked and watched them run that play, and you went, what are you guys doing? It's like you didn't believe that was going to happen, so you didn't bother playing defense. I didn't really get what was going on there. And then let's say, here's another interesting tidbit I found. The last time Florida State lost to a non-major opponent was in 1961 against Southern Miss, all the way back to the 60s again. At the time, Southern Miss was in the college division, the precursor to Division 2 and 3. So just right when you think Florida State is, all right, man, they're turning around. I think it'd be interesting if Florida State was good again. And no, apparently not. It's things that are not back again. One of those is Texas getting shellacked, crushed, schmaboodles by Arkansas. It's kind of like, it's late at night, my family's in bed, but I really want to just burst out laughing at this. I'm not laughing at you in Texas. I'm laughing with you because we haven't done that well in the Big Ten either. Since you're going to the SEC, this is kind of like a, hi, welcome, here's what's going to happen. We're not even good. We're still going to beat the living shit out of you. Texas and Nebraska, I've had this thing for a while where there's like some kind of curse between us where we're actually tied together. And I don't know what's going to break the curse, but neither of us has done worth a shit since Nebraska left the Big 12. On the other hand, I mean, I don't, if you're a Texan and watching this, you're a Longhorn fan, I'd really like to know what you expect's going to happen when you move to the SEC. Because, I know what would happen to us if we went to the SEC. This is why we shouldn't go to the SEC. We're having a hard enough time in the Big Ten. The other big news this week, by the way, let's go back for a minute. If you had Scott Frost as your first coach fired this year, you lost the office pool. As Clay Helton goes away for USC. But the other big news this week was Big 12 expansion. BYU, Houston, Cincinnati, and UCF are going to join the Big 12. I think that's kind of interesting. I don't think it's going to help them with big TV money, but it's going to help them survive. So when I make fun of Iowa State fans for Matt Campbell being our next head coach, maybe they'll have enough money to actually field a program. It was a good college football week. It was fun. It was looking at the horrifying stuff that's going on. The Pac-12, I think, Oregon's win over Ohio State gets them a little bit more panache, a little bit more prestige. The Big Ten, I think, in losing that game, you look at it and go, okay, who's going to make the college football playoff from the Big Ten? Maybe it'll be Iowa. Maybe it will be. That'll be interesting. Of course, Nebraska will spoil their hopes by beating them at the end of the season. Okay, what did you guys see this week in week 2 of the 2021 college football season? I'd like to know, because if you have any predictions, I'd love to hear them. And come on, give me some real predictions. Don't give me this, Nebraska's going to get their ass kicked by Oklahoma. I mean, we're 23-point dogs. That's pretty much a given, right? Give me something that's bold, that's unexpected, like Oregon beating Ohio State. Okay, you guys, you take care of yourselves, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. I always forget to say that. I think we're growing decently anyway. Take care, and have a good night. Bye.